So today is Divine Mercy Sunday. So let's talk about hell. Let's talk about hell. First off, there is a hell. Unfortunately, there are some people who are pushing the agenda that there is no hell. Well, I'd like to know what world they're living in. But there is. And that is because there are, unfortunately, some people in this world who don't want God, who purposefully say, God, I want nothing to do with you. And so here's the thing. God gives us each a free will. And if we purposefully choose against God, then God has a place where he is not, and that's hell. We don't know exactly what that looks like, but we know it is there. Now, the other thing, there are some people who say, well, there's a hell, but there's probably not anybody there. I'm not going to push that issue either. As I said, there are people in this world who don't want God and purposefully say, I don't want you, God. So to push that boundary of saying there's probably nobody in hell, that's more or less saying there's no hell. Sorry, that don't work. Again, we have a free will. If we didn't, we would just be robots if we were just programmed to love God and do nothing else. Then it wouldn't be true love. Then God could not give us true mercy and love himself. That's the bare facts of it all. Now, what do we do with all of this? You know, life is not easy. But it comes down to our choices and relying on God's grace. That's what gets us through. And if we do that, we shouldn't have to fear hell. There have been saints and seers through the ages who have had visions of people in hell. Now, the other thing we have to remember along with that is that, yes, a saint's vision or message might be approved by the church, but that doesn't mean we have to believe every bit of it to the T. The 3 children at Fatima had a vision of people in hell. And if I'm not mistaken, St. Faustina also had visions of people who were in hell. Whether that is totally, a real representation of what's going on down there, who knows? But here's the thing. We do need to be aware of our sinfulness. We do need to be aware that we have choices, sometimes difficult choices to make. So we need to try our best to live a good Christian life. That means at the bare minimum, and you've heard me say this before, at the absolute bare minimum, go to Mass every Sunday and go to confession once a year at the bare minimum. Now, I know that we have a dispensation of not coming to Sunday Mass right now because of the pandemic. But here's the other thing, y'all. If you're comfortable going to restaurants, you need to have your butt in the pews. Plain and simple. And you've heard me say that before, too. It's good to have a reminder. But yes, if we're willing to put ourselves in secular situations, then we need to be in church more than anything. We need to, at the absolute minimum, be here and go to confession once a year. That's what the church asks. But my recommendation, once a month. And as I've told y'all before, not tooting my own horn, I'm a bad sinner. I go every 2 weeks. It's a little different when you're in the confessional and you're absolving sins in God's name, and if you don't have your own soul clean, it makes no sense. Kind of a guilt trip there on my part. So may we do our best to make good choices, to live the Christian life. That's how we avoid hell. That's how we avoid it, And that's how we rely on God's mercy. Here's the other thing, too. We don't know what happens when someone dies and the conversation or event that takes place between them and God in those last minutes. Some people get baptized, confirmed, and receive Holy Communion on their deathbed. I would like to hope that they go straight up. And there's some people who may not have been baptized or anything, and at that last moment before death, call out to Jesus and his mercy. I hope that they would go up as well. I think we will all be surprised at who is in heaven. God's mercy is infinite. We don't always comprehend it or know what it looks like. And that's why I say we may be surprised. God's love and mercy is surprising. That's the other thing about St. Faustina's message, is his divine mercy is greater than anything we can understand. And as we heard in the second reading, it all comes about through blood and water. The blood of the cross, the water of baptism. It's all there. So may we do our best to live the good Christian life, rely on God's grace and mercy, and look forward, hopefully, to eternal peace with him. Amen.